How's this one working?
Yeah! You will not be silent!
Shall not be silent. I gotta go back to Tyrion. I love Tyrion.
That much off. The rest of the weather not. I have like armor. Never use that.
Yes, and we're here to honor and armor IR bloggers, blog commenters, the blogosphere as a community of practice in international studies, to call the banners, as it were, to keeping on, threatening the stodgy old school professionalism of academia, and making IR increasingly relevant to the world out there, which of course we've been doing all along. Tonight, what we'll do is kick things off with 3 short spoken word blog posts, like we did last year. Our Ignite speakers this year are from the UK University of Sussex's Paul Kirby, aka Buckle K, to his order of things. Mike McKenzie from Buckle Minerva, who have a young from down under, and not only blogs but publishes in foreign affairs, and Nurse Superoff from Canada's home university, who blogs at Herets and HuffPost and tweets and writes and mouths off. But before we do all that, a few words of thanks. First of all, to our comrade in arms, Steve Saderman, for blowing the whistle on ISA's ridiculous anti-blogging policy and inciting a movement to restore common sense profoundly in the online media lobby. So see Steve Overdrink's about to sign up for that, and I'll say a few words in a minute. Secondly, thanks to Sage Press for supporting online media and for sponsoring this event 2 years running. And thanks to all of you, everyone who voted in the 2nd annual Online Achievement in International Studies Awards. After the Ignite talks, John Western will unveil this year's winners. Thanks for coming. Grab a drink if you don't already have one, and get ready. I give you our first Ignite speaker, Paul Kirby.
So hi, I'm Paul Kirby, or Pablo K. This is me on Twitter, and I vlog in the disorder of things. We won some Duckies last year. Tonight I want to talk about that most abused of notions, the ivory tower, and IR's place in it, because we are unable to escape the shadow of this myth when we talk about ourselves. So, to speak like a postie, I want to talk about IR's relevance and irrelevance, and also our reverence and irreverence towards it. This man, coming up now, Nicholas Christoph, publicly chastised us last month. As is his wont, he traded almost exclusively in borrowed cliches about our distance, our privilege, our specialist tongues, and our fascinating navels. In turn, our responses were detailed, angry, bitter, and hilarious, and also quite inadequate. Against the claim of irrelevance, we asserted our impact on public debate. Against the view that we were too interested in marginalia, we reiterated our many connections to policy. Where Christoph complained that journalists could not decipher our speech, we insisted that we wrote clear op-eds all the time. We boasted of our skill at Twitter, of our use of zombies to illuminate world politics for children, and of our stints in policy institutes. In other words, we wholly accepted the terms of the debate. By doing so, we failed on 3 counts. First, we confirmed the view of the scholar as a handmaiden to the political class. Decision makers face problems, we can provide solutions. This is not an account of power, it is an offer of subservience. It is also to forget an old lesson about IR as the instruction manual for state power. Knowledge has its uses, and here be dragons. Second, we celebrated connectivity over depth. We did so without much critique of academic knowledge production and praised the public intellectual as the instant pundit. What we required instead was a defense of our alleged irrelevance, of the academy as a space for what Aaron Bailey has so wonderfully called socialized disagreements, not reducing ourselves to Google Scholar rankings or disciplining each other on the basis of who does the really important work, and not services to power, not even public awareness raising, but abstraction, historical memory, creativity, and depth. Moreover, a reply on the actual state of the academy, where teaching turns out to be a large part of the work we do, and whisper it an important social process, but where curious minds are restricted by funding cuts, privatization, and job precarity. Third, in defending ourselves, we cited individual success stories. On the whole, we did not argue for the resources to think better together and act as a kind of collective academic mind. And we did not place our very real limitations within the context of the profits and cultural inertia that keep our best work behind paywalls. The academy is not a tower from which we view the real world. It is in the real world and participates constantly in its remaking. To understand this is to think differently about who we are and about what we can do, and that's me.
All right. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I'm going to be as quick as Paul. I'm going to go back to the original question because I know you're not all bloggers. And when Charlie asked me to do an Ignite talk tonight, I had the same reaction as when she asked me to blog 2.5 years ago, which was, why would anybody want to do that? Why would I want to subject myself to criticism, to be in such a vulnerable position? And I think at the time, 2.5 years ago, I wasn't reading a lot of blogs, I didn't know the lingo, there wasn't a lot of gender and IR on the blogosphere, and that's changed. But I think going back to this question, why blog, is still important. So why do we blog? Is it for the glory? The money, because it helps with promotion so much, because we just get so many compliments when we blog, or just because we have a lot of spare time to think about blogging. Well, obviously it's not for any of these reasons. I think I found 5 reasons at least why I blog, and hopefully it will encourage those of you who are not part of the conversation, especially those who aren't part of the mainstream or see themselves as part of the mainstream, to maybe join the conversation. So the first reason I think we should blog, or I blog, is blogging gives you thick skin. When I did, wait, sorry, okay, when, eat the mic, that's what she said. That sounds, okay, anyway. I remember my first negative comment, and it kept me up. It literally kept me up at night, and I thought, how can anyone be so mean? And then you realize that's just part of being a blogger. And the good thing, and how it translates into everyday life, is there's nothing that anyone at a discussant at ISA could say that's any worse than some of the crap that has been in the comment section on my blog. So a discussant, for example, might say, is there really anything new here, Megan? And, that's a pretty negative comment. Blogging, Blah, 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 Western propaganda tribe. Next. So the benefit to that is now some of the earlier criticisms really, to me, look like compliments. And now when I get criticisms, I sort of feel like this. So the second reason I think we should blog is it helps our teaching. So this is a little more serious, but we can use, complex theories, complex concepts that can, IR, you can make IR quite boring, but you can also make it really interesting and talk about masculinity. Who doesn't want to talk about masculinity in this context? Or, in this context, who doesn't want a picture of Ryan Gosling on their blog? Or also talking about the wage gap in relation to menstruation in New Zealand. These photos, who's going to put these photos up on blogs if I don't? So I think how it translates is that I can make my work accessible to students, make it fun and interesting, and also to non-gender experts. Third, it doesn't have to be perfect. So you spelling and grammar trolls, I get it. I'm not a good speller, it's not going to get better, just let it go. That's what it means. We can get ideas up quickly, we can sort of practice writing in a non-tortured way, and I think that's a good practice. Related, it's a great place to kind of test drive ideas, to be part of a conversation that's happening right now. So whether that's about the ethics of casual teaching contracts, an immediate response to a report that war rape is declining, for example, or an immediate reaction to a policy change like lifting the combat exclusion. And I think this is sort of my reaction to that policy change. So finally, I think one of the benefits is that you all know who that is over here, is that pop culture and feminism really makes interesting IR. I found it with my own sort of voice through the blogosphere. I found that you can talk about the Republican war on women, for example, and make it interesting if you relate it to Roseanne Barr and Kim Kardashian. Or John Hamm and Kristen Wiig in bed can be related to women in the Libyan uprising. And I think that I really think you can engage with serious questions in a fun and interesting way. And I'm very glad to be part of this conversation. I'm glad I was asked, and I'm asking some of you who aren't part of the conversation to join. Yeah, thank you. So thanks.
Before the blogosphere opened up and opened up to me, I stayed inside my scholarly armor. I kept myself within the confines of explanatory theory. Hewing closely to explanation kept me comfortably connected to the academic subject I loved so much, the politics, security seeking, and identity maintenance of Israel in all of its beautiful and terrible nostalgia. Keeping to explanatory theory also fuels my role identity as a detached academic. Sticking to these why questions also kept me safe in another respect. I was shielded from asking the other kinds of questions. Those questions beginning with those three little letters. The letters that are used in that other medium, the non-peer-reviewed medium, the medium of the text message. I'm thinking of those three little letters that convey perplexity, confusion, and moral outrage. The letters are WTF. And boy, did I make sure my students kept to the same rules. We're not here to play the blame game, I would say sanctimoniously at the beginning of each class on Israel-Palestine relations like a mantra. But once the blogosphere opened up, and opened up to me, I could start to push against the walls of my role identity as a detached academic, perforate those walls just a little bit, let a little bit of light in to begin to ask carefully, cautiously, sometimes, though not always politely, those pent-up WTF questions. And as I sought to ask more of these kinds of questions, I did something else. I began to publicly acknowledge that these questions were coming from a place not necessarily only of scholarly curiosity, but also a place of deep and emotional, yet complex attachment to my subject. I was in love with my subject. So what became a more frequent posing of these types of questions also became an opportunity to lay bare my own subjectivity. It's risky. It's risky to bring an ethical overlay to your work. It's risky to shift just a few inches into the zone of moralizing, of value-based writing, of striking a prescriptive key. It's even riskier making transparent one's own personal collective identity. I knew that skeptics would be quick to judge my ideas, and oh, they did, in light of these ethno-national, political, philosophical, and maybe even a little bit of ideological commitments. And what detached academic ever wants her ideas judged by anything other than the evidence? But being more aware of these identities had a new and very valuable result. I was able to mine new insights. I was able to find new places to look for the very evidence that is the currency of our profession. And by foregrounding my political subjectivity and allegiances, I was able to chip away at the armor of objectivity that often shields the core of what should go into political judgments. What is that core? As I see it, and as I blog about it, the core is a commitment to empathy and the truth of human experience by keeping my own political experience, my own subjectivities, my own complex, deep political attachments and love, however complex to my subject, I was better able to see, hear, and therefore relay to others the experience of the other. It's tricky business bringing ethical commitments and personal subjectivity to the fore, but it has its rewards in the classroom, on the page, and hopefully maybe one day for the real life stakeholders themselves.
And turn it over to Doris.
Steve first.
Steve, will you join us at the podium?
They're for me?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them are for you. Not really.
I'll make this short since the suspense is killing us on the Duckies. In January, the ISA put forward a proposal that equated blogging with unprofessionalism, and while I truly am unprofessional in most ways, I think it besmirched the reputations and positions and the behavior of other folks. And the good news is on Tuesday, they kicked the proposal to a committee, because that's what you do with stupid ideas. However, there is no guarantee that these bad ideas will not reemerge, and some people seem to have really flat learning curves. So what we're doing is we're forming an online media caucus to create a permanent organization that has representation at every governing council meeting until online media cease to exist and it's all in our heads. So what I have here is the petition. There are two ways to sign it. One is to actually just come up and sign it. Put your name and your email address. Or search on the web for my name, Saideman, S-A-I-D-E-M-A-N, Online Media Caucus. It'll get you to one of the blog pieces that's about it. They'll provide you instructions, which is basically just email me saying you support it. What will happen then is I'll take forward the signatures. We're already above the 50 that we need, but I'd like to have much more than that to sort of shove in some people's faces. And also be able to have a sustainable organization. So that way we have a panel or two every year talking about online media. We just came from the Twitter panel, which I think was pretty successful. And again, the idea is to have somebody at the table every year at Governing Council to represent us as well as to provide opportunities to celebrate what we do. Whatever the online media future is, it's certainly be an interesting and wonderfully controversial one. So please sign the petition now, go online, email me, and all I have to do is say I support Sageman's petition for an online media caucus. That's all we need. You can only do that if you're a member of the ISA. So that's all I had to say. Enjoy the Duckies.
So welcome, I'm John Western, member of Dr. Minerva. And I just want to make a point about Megan's presentation. I get the Western propaganda and trite all the time criticism. I'm here to present the awards, but before I do that, I just want to take a minute to thank Sage Publications in particular for sponsoring this event. And I want to ask Natalie Aguilera just to come up and say a couple of words on behalf of all of us at Dr. Minerva. We're very excited and thrilled that Sage has been such a wonderful supporter of the blogging awards.
Thank you very much. God, those videos are fantastic. How to follow up with that. Okay, so Sage is enormously proud to be sponsoring the Online Achievement in International Studies Awards, the Duckies, in order to support and recognise the high quality and professional contributions that blogging is making in the field, particularly in the view of the recent proposal by the ISA to restrict blogging. These awards celebrate the work of those in international relations who have sought, at times humorously, angrily, ironically, or using zombies, to augment traditional means of academic communication, theory development, and policy influence, opening up key debates to a wider global online audience, encouraging public engagement with research, and aiding the accessibility and discoverability of these issues. Supporting and enabling debates around public policy and the social sciences is a core part of our remit at SAGE, as it's key to our deeply held commitment to ensuring that the value of social science is recognised. With this in mind, I wanted to talk very briefly about the transatlantic campaign that SAGE has launched with other social science bodies to raise awareness of the importance of social science research across the globe. The value of the social sciences, due to the complex and often longitudinal nature of the issues and phenomena they study, is frequently called into question. This lack of understanding around the value of social sciences has been and continues to become a very real and present danger to how the research outputs of the discipline are supported. These issues are particularly pressing here, as highlighted by the COVID amendment and subsequent cuts in government funding to social sciences. We at SAGE feel that getting across the message of social science's intrinsic value to society is of key importance now more than ever, and that its value needs to be better recognised before the discipline's funding is further threatened. We have therefore been working with key organisations to help champion the voice of and facilitate conversations around the value of social science. Such conversations will be aimed at lobbying governments and other institutions to realise the value of social sciences with the aim of preventing further cuts. For example, we are currently working with science associations and American universities in opposing the FIRST Act, an act which proposes to cut the funding level of the National Science Foundation's Directorate of Social, Behavioural and Economic Sciences. So please do check out socialsciencespace.com for further updates on this. Okay, well, I'm sure you're all very keen to find out who the winners of these fantastic looking trophies are. So I'll just finish by congratulating all those shortlisted. I'm sure I can speak for everyone here when I say that we very much look forward to reading your further content. So thank you.
So there's one more person we have to thank on this is Dan Nexon. I don't know, Dan, are you still around? I don't know, he might have left for the governing council meeting, but the blogging awards for Dan's kind of idea a year and a half ago, and we all wouldn't be here without his vision and leadership on supporting the process of building the Duck Award, or the blogging award. So I want to thank Dan for doing that. So on to the show. I won't take very long to do this. We had a number of categories. We had 4 categories this year. First category is the best blog for the individual. And I just want to say, one of the things, we had some humor up here, some satire earlier, but one of the things you find when you read through as many of the blogs as we do, and we have for the nomination process and the finalist process, it is an incredible amount of talent out there. There's some really smart scholarship, there's some really smart policy interjections into the policy realm, and really smart stuff on the blogosphere. It's incredible what it's become over the last decade. The first category, best blog by an individual, and you can see the finalists. Let me announce the winner. Dark I don't know how Jay does the amount of content, the regular content, come on up, the amount of regular content and the just incredible quality of it, just consistent. This was a very close race, but congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Here you go. This is the duck.
Awesome. Thanks very much. I just want to say I really appreciate that people are reading this. There's sort of that starting this was I had no aspirations, no real plan other than sort of trying to build a professional identity a little more to try to get work as a consultant. That seems to be working out okay. That's great. And also, there are even a lot of blogs that are not among the nominees that are terrific. There's so much great stuff to read, really rich. I mean, I find that really rewarding and really appreciate all the work people put into it. But also want to say that I recognize that I'm really fortunate to get to do this, that I'm at a point in my career, in my family life and that kind of thing where I can take time to sit down and do this kind of writing. And I know there are a lot of people who could be writing really interesting stuff could be writing really interesting stuff and just don't have the time or the chance to do it. And I hope as a profession there's a way to give those people more of a chance to do it, because I love to read what you can write.
All right, our next award for the best blog group finalists. These are well known to all of us. This was incredibly close. Incredible amount of quality. The monkey cage has now moved to the Washington Post, so it's raising up the threshold for the rest of us, or not. The rest of us will stay where we are. So here we go. The winner is Barbara Walker said she was not coming to Toronto in March ever. So, congratulations, Sarah.
Well, Barbara and I started this blog a couple years ago. We have a dutiful editorial assistant named Taylor Marvin that I want to recognize as well. Barb, as John said, didn't want to make the trek, and I actually myself have not stepped outside this hotel since Monday because of the weather. But basically, we're really grateful to you for giving us the chance to talk about things that we think are important and meaningful in the world, as has been talked about tonight. And certainly, we are really amazed and humbled to be included in the finalists at all with these other terrific group blogs. And I just want to say one thing about Jay. His blog, Dart Throwing Chimp, was the thing that actually got me inspired to start blogging. It's my personal favorite for individual blog, although the others obviously are fantastic. And today I heard people all over ISA saying, I have to go because I'm going to go see Dart Throwing Chimp on his panel. So it actually can work into your identity. And anyway, thanks so much for this recognition.
So an example, I just learned the transitions, by the way. My son helped me figure out the transitions of well. So I'm using all of them. So I think a perfect example of the incredible amount of talent that goes into blogging is illustrated by the finalists that we had for the best blog post. And let me just make a plug. There's an incredible amount of stuff that's being posted now on Ukraine, over the last several months in Syria. So keep those in mind for next October when we announce the call for next year's nominations. But these are the nominees or the finalists for the best blog posts. And it's some really incredible content out there. We had another very close choice, and the winner is Christian Davenport.
Thank you. Dan and Steve got me started. Mark and Jay keep me honest and are incredibly supportive. It's one of these weird things where you're not quite sure who's reading anything, so someone's obviously reading something, and that doesn't read. Part of it is a venue thing for me. I had a bunch of short stories that nobody wanted to publish, and I was kind of like, I need to find some place to put it. The blogosphere gave me that space, and so I'm feeling that opening and still feel like I'm finding my voice, but thank you all for this.
So new blogs, we had two nominees, or two finalists for best new blog. This is also a plug for those of you who are starting blogs in response to the Ignite talks, and you are all inspired. We have a category for you for next year, so please start blogging now. We had Next War Blog and Nuclear Diner, and the winner this year is Nuclear Diner. I don't know if we have it's Cheryl Wolfer. I don't think she's here, so. Sorry about that, but so there's one more award that we didn't issue a call for, but it's something that we wanted to recognize, a special achievement award for somebody who has really done made an outstanding contribution to blogging in international studies. Last year, Mark Lynch was issued this award on behalf of the work that the pioneering work that he had done out of Harvard. And this year, we have a drum roll. This year we decided that we really needed to recognize, you all know him.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little embarrassed wearing this fascinator right now. But that said, I'm actually very touched and honored. And it's a little ironic since, of course, technically right now I'm not a blogger. Temporary, yes. So I will tell you, however, that is only a temporary retreat. In fact, starting next month, I will be blogging again at a place that I cannot name but has a larger megaphone than foreign policy. Which indicates that, in fact, we can continue to blog and survive and thrive. So seeing all of these people here, back when 10 years ago I was doing this and not a lot of other people, it's actually rather rewarding to realize that blogging has become respectable. What a drag, and yet it's awesome. So thank you very much.